Okay, so now, in this last example here, let's go back to the example I just did in the last video, which is this right here. And what if we wanted to check this graphically using a graphing calculator? You could do that by carefully putting the original function into the calculator as like y1, and then putting the end result as another function as like y2. So you would have to carefully do that. So let me erase all of this stuff so it gives me some room to write. So on your calculator, under the y equals, you would have, let's see, y1 equals, and then you would have to carefully put this in your calculator like so. So you'd have to have parentheses, okay? And then you'd have to have another parentheses for the top one, and you'd have 4 minus x squared end parentheses, and then you'd have divide, so you'd have your slash mark for division. Then you'd have another parentheses for the bottom, and then you'd have x squared minus 3x plus 2 parentheses, and then you'd have to have parentheses, right? So now this is your numerator. And then you'd have to have division. Now you're taking this whole thing, dividing by what? Now you're going to have another parentheses and do the same thing here. So parentheses, x plus 2, end parenthesis, division, open parenthesis, x squared minus 9, close parenthesis, close parenthesis. And so that's what you would put into your calculator for y1. Then what you would do is in y2, right underneath it, you would put in this expression. And the way you would enter that is you would put open parenthesis, and then you'd have open parenthesis, 3 minus x, close parenthesis, and then you'd have times or open parenthesis, x plus 3, close parenthesis, and then finally a close parenthesis for the numerator. Then you'd have divided by, and then you'd have open parenthesis, x minus 1, close parenthesis. Okay? This is to make sure that your calculator graphs the function you want to graph. Okay? So make sure you have enough parentheses in there to make it work. Okay? Now, what you're going to do is you can graph this one and this one with different thickness, because if these are the same graph, they'll be right on top of each other. So you have to watch carefully, because it's going to graph this one first, and then it's going to graph this one. So you can do it one of two ways. You can use different lines, so you can change the type of line. Right over here, right in front of the calculator, on the calculator on this screen, right in front, there's going to be a little icon which tells you what kind of line you want. And so you can change from a thin line to a thick line. So you can make this one into a thin line, right, which is normal, and then you can make this one into a thicker line. And then watch how they're graphed, okay? Or you can graph them in different colors. That's also a possibility. So you could graph this one in blue and this one in red, and so it'll graph it first in blue, and then it'll go over it in red, and you'll see that they're exactly the same line. And that's how you would show graphically how they're the same. Okay? So practice that. If you have any questions, let me know.